Let's check in with Joseph Lindsley in Ukraine, and a couple of stories we're looking at this morning. One about a new tactic the Russians are using, and also Odessa and the tragedy there. What is going on today where you are?
Well, Bob, good afternoon from a rainy day in Lviv. A few hours ago, we had reports of possible missile launches from the Black Sea. And so there were alarms in the eastern part of the country, but those alarms have been cleared. So it's calm at the moment. And, there's obviously people are looking toward what's happening with the counteroffensive. There were reports that Ukrainians destroyed a major Russian ammunition depot in Kherson over the weekend. But the Ukrainian progress, surely it's Ukrainians are saying they've liberated 8 villages in the Zaporizhia and Donetsk regions. So the progress is very steady, but very slow. And I think people here are calm about it, but perhaps with all the hoopla about the counteroffensive, maybe people expect quicker results. But there's a sense here that this must be very slow and steady, and it's going to take a lot of time. Over the weekend here in Lviv, it was a weekend of many funerals. As one friend put it, there were many gatherings of people over the weekend to share cool common memories and to divide our common misery, because people are feeling the pain of deaths of loved ones who have been fighting in the Ukrainian armed forces. And you see whenever foreigners come here to help, I think they see people singing in the streets, and they see life going on, and at first they're perplexed. But once you get to know people, you realize everyone has a story of pain and suffering, usually quite raw.
What about this apparent new tactic the Russians are using to detonate tanks remotely? Do you know about this?
Yeah, we have reports of 2 of those, and pretty good evidence that that's what happened. And perhaps this is similar to the Associated Press was able to obtain photographs of a vehicle that was on the dam, not a tank, but a truck that was on the Novokakova Dam before it blew up. And so it seemed that perhaps that vehicle was stuffed with explosives. I think, this is, it's not just a matter of force, but having to use trickery and wits on both sides here in order to win. And this is what, on Friday, the president of South Africa Thursday and Friday led a peace delegation, so-called peace delegation here to Ukraine. And that frustrated many people because he was speaking in Kyiv, and he said that both sides, we argued that there must be de-escalation on both sides. And if you really think about what those words mean, it means, if Ukraine de-escalates at all, it means that they will ultimately lose. They have every chance they get. Every pause, in missile attacks, they have to be using to try to advance and push back against the Russians. And so there is this, I think that there has to be escalation, however slow and steady it is, on the Ukrainian part, by the Ukrainians in order for this to work. But as we must remember, Russia, they're good chess players, and surely like the attacks last week on Odessa, obviously the ongoing devastation from the flood. Is a huge blow. And, we have Odessa. It seems that, as I mentioned last week, that Putin wanted to protect that city because it's such a lovely, beautiful place. And the fact that he's willing now to hit near the center of the city, says that Russia is realizing that they are in a weaker position than they have been, and they have to start to find other pain points here in Ukraine. And Odessa is one of them.
Yeah, and they obviously don't care what destruction they cause. And I know beaches in the southern Ukrainian region of Odessa have been closed because of filthy waters there, because of the collapsed dam. Is water quality throughout the country going to be an issue now?
No, Ukraine it's the largest country completely within Europe, but it's a huge space. There's lots of fresh water and springs. So in most of the country, it's okay. But in a huge area, in that Kherson region, even in the region of Dnipro, there is concern, and in President Zelensky's hometown, Kryvyi Rih, there are concerns about water quality. There's also increasing concerns. So far there has not in this since Russia's invasion 16 months ago been a cholera outbreak, but there's always concern. And I think because people try to anticipate this, maybe that will mitigate some concerns. But, for example, I heard the story last week that months ago that the Red Cross sent tens of thousands of bottles of water to the city of Dnipro. Dnipro's never had a water problem, and even now they're above the dam, and so we see some either overeager aid organizations or people not caring about how effective the aid is, and we see that. I mean, the main things the Ukrainians need remain, first aid kits for soldiers and drones, but when it comes to food and water supply, Ukrainians are able to take care of themselves at the moment.
That reminds me, one of our listeners texted asking if there is a website you can direct folks to who want to help provide aid in some way to the people of Ukraine.
Well, sure. I mean, if you go to UkrainianFreedomNews.com, we've currently been raising money for trucks for soldiers. So we have, as I mentioned last week, we were able to get money for one soldier named Vlad in a recon unit. And so we'll start another campaign this week. So if you send any donations there, you can make tax-deductible donations via our friends in the United States at UkrainianFreedomNews.com. And we welcome that support because I think, so many of these materials have been purchased and delivered, but cars and bulletproof vests and helmets, they all get broken, and drones get broken, unfortunately, quite quickly. And there's a constant need to resupply.
Good to know. As you know, Joe, Putin spoke at that economic forum over the weekend, and he rattled his nuclear saber again. What was your take on what he said?
Yeah, and that economic forum used to bring, the elite from all over the world. Now there's hardly anyone there, he's sort of by himself, a consequence of his actions. But this is, Putin the Russians have begun, they've said, to move nuclear warheads into Belarus. They announced they were going to do this. As the closer that they feel that Ukraine has a chance to push the Russians out of Ukrainian territory, the more Russia is going to threat, in the hope that more and more people will become afraid. This is the tactic of the bully, and this is where, this is where, people have to find their strength around the world and to not be afraid by those tactics. I was speaking with a teacher from North Carolina, probably in her 50s. She came here to volunteer, and I said, "Are you afraid?" And she said, "If I get bombed, it's God's will, but just day by day." And so the Ukrainians hope that the people in the capitals, in Brussels and Washington, will have courage like the little people who come here to help and not be afraid of Putin's rhetoric.
We continue to admire the courage of the Ukrainian soldiers and the citizens there. Joseph, hopefully it'll be a quiet 24 hours until we talk again tomorrow.
Thank you, Bob. Until tomorrow.
Thank you for introducing Ukraine on your social media pages. That's very important that much more people can get more information about the situation here and how everybody can help Ukraine to stay stronger and to save all the world.
Что он сказал?
Well, which side are you on?
На чьей ты стороне?
Come on now. Oh, which side are you on?
На чьей ты стороне?